Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, in the studio on a Thursday morning. I'll start our conversation off with just 4 words. In Veach we trust.
And should. And you're, of course, making reference to the trade that was made yesterday with the San Francisco 49ers. And it's hardly a surprise because Sky Moore, who is now a member of the 49ers team, was probably going to be among those veterans, and at least his name was there among the prominent ones, who would be cut by Kansas City. He's never been able to generate the kind of appeal that he had when he came out of college. And as a result, he had the injury last year that put him out for most of the season. He's had nagging injuries here and there. I don't think he's a bad guy, and he's probably a pretty good athlete, but he's never been able to get things done. So the Chiefs said, rather than cut him, hey, let's see if somebody's interested, and the 49ers were. And they gave Kansas City a 7th-round draft choice next year. I'm sorry, in 2027, so it will be the year after next. But that's a pretty good deal, and Sky Moore may find a new life out there with the Niners. Who knows? But nonetheless, he's no longer with Kansas City.
You're right. He doesn't seem like a bad kid. It just didn't work out in Kansas City. I was a little nervous the other day whenever he caught that return and ran it back. I was like, no. But it also goes to show you how decimated the 49ers receiving room is. If they're making calls like that, they're doing anything they can to fill that room up big time.
Well, and Moore does have a lot of speed. There's no question about that. It's his hands and his mental strength, I think, more than anything else that comes into play here.
Definitely there, and, again, once a Chief, always a Chief, I always say. What's this about them adding bulletproof glass to Arrowhead Stadium?
I am, frankly, astounded. Now, the incident that brought this about, and they're installing bulletproof glass, especially at Andy Reid's office, because there were shots fired at Andy's office. Now, this all came about a year ago, folks. It was in 2024, and it was in the spring of 2024, and Andy was working late at night, and here comes a bullet crashing through his window and into a wall and so forth. And there were other shots that were fired.
3. Yeah. Total of 3 that went through in the middle of it was like 1 in the afternoon.
Well, the fact is that you can't prove that it was intended for him. It may have just been random, but whatever it was, it came within in the stadium, and that's the key right there. It came with inside. Police have been investigating it now for over a year, haven't come up with anything solid, or they haven't come up with anybody they can pin with the evidence. But regardless of that, they've installed the bulletproof windows now, and that obviously is going to help it. It's kind of disturbing.
It's extremely disturbing, and they hopefully, in addition to the bulletproof glass, they've actually installed a couple of security guys that are next to them 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Sorry, Andy, you're not going anywhere. College Football Playoff Committee is finally getting some things right, according to Ned Reynolds. And what is that?
They have finally, and we've talked about this time and time again. There are a number, or were, let's put it past tense, and will exist this year, a number of the big-time teams who strengthen their bowl credibility by having a great record, like 10-2 and 11-1. Because they beat up on weak sisters at the start of the year. That's not going to help them. The bowl committee has finally said we're giving much more credit. I think they said it was going to be 13 or 15%, something like that, in terms of strength of schedule. It's all going to figure into the mix now. It should have right from the start. They know that, and it may have in some respects, but it's going to be a standard part now of rating these bowl teams, the teams that are going into the playoffs and so forth and so on, that you're going to get there if you're playing a good schedule or a strong schedule in the eyes of the playoff committee, and that is now in effect as of this year.
Oh, good. I'm glad they're making it quick. And it's not too hard to look at strength of schedule. I know it's a little bit more tedious in college football because there's a million teams, but at the same time, there have been several in recent years. We don't need to go into this, that he got in there because they had good records, but they didn't beat anybody.
You talk about a million teams, Mike, but it really isn't. In Division 1A or FBS, there's only, I think it's 140, something like that, which isn't very many. Many more in Division or FCS, where the Bears were, Division 2 and Division 3. But the FBS, which is the elite, and that's where the money is, and that's where the Bears are now, then you have to make some judicious decisions, because the big schools, the Power Four, they want more money. And they're not going to get that more money now if they're playing stronger schedules. So it all washes out.
Now that we know that we're going to start protecting Andy Reid like the Pope, he's going to be inside the plexiglass box everywhere he goes. Doesn't matter if it's for a burger or the practice field. You're going to be protected, Andy. No, I'm kidding.
Is he going to ride in the Reid mobile?
That's kind of what I was hoping. I would be down for that. I'll drive whatever you guys want me to do, but we protect that man's life at all costs. Last week, the Chiefs didn't play several starters. So one would believe, based on that logic, this upcoming final preseason game is going to be just a test for everyone vying for a spot.
That's what you would think.
Yeah,
yes.
But Andy Reid, you think he's messing with this?
No, but he said yesterday, and it caught me a little bit by surprise, because in the final preseason game, you normally don't play your regulars. And he said, well, we're going to. And some of these regulars are going to get some extensive time in there. And the reason is because it's Friday. The game is tomorrow night. And then the Chiefs do not take the field for it's literally 2 weeks. They're off for 2 weeks. He said, my guys, my starters need the work. We're going to get in there. Now, we're not going to put them in dangerous situations or anything like that where there might be some injuries. And that's impossible to say, because it's football, for heaven's sake, and anything can happen. But some of the starters, Mahomes and Chris Jones and people like that, will be in the football game tomorrow night against the Chicago Bears. And the Bears have already said that they're going to play their regulars for maybe a quarter, maybe a half, somewhere around there. We may see a nice little interesting football game tomorrow night at Arrowhead Stadium, at least for a while anyway.
Again, I hope everyone that goes up to the game tomorrow has a great time. It's always great to be home. Cardinals have better luck yesterday?
No, they did not. They're up against an old Cardinal and a former Springfield Cardinal, Sandy Alcantara, who's also a former Cy Young Award winner. And what he did, he's coming back from Tommy John surgery, but he's back, folks. He was really effective. Struck out, I think, 6 Cardinals in the 7 innings he was in there. Held the Redbirds. Struck him out in key situations. Alcantara's a good pitcher. Boy, when the Chiefs made that trade for Marcell Ozuna and gave up Alcantara, oh, boy, that resonated with us down here. Gosh, he's a pretty doggone good pitcher, and he has turned out to be that for Miami. So, anyway, that's beside the point. Cardinals couldn't get anything done. Miami wins it by a score of 6-2 last night before their friends and neighbors in Miami. Gosh, there just aren't very many people there at all. What a sad franchise. And now the Cardinals head up to North Florida, and they'll play the Tampa Bay Rays outside in George Steinbrenner Stadium starting tonight. And that's where the Rays are playing this year. It's a minor league ballpark, and it is the spring training home of the Yankees. Spring training. They seat about 11,000, the way it has to be. I think the league is probably compensating Tampa Bay for this misfortune. The reason is their stadium was rendered inoperable by the hurricane last September, and the repairs just simply, well, they're being done now, but they haven't, not in time for the season to begin. So it's an outside ballpark, unique setting. It's a very nice ballpark, but it's also very small.
It is. Switching gears to my Kansas City Royals, they're still 1 game above the Guardians, which is great. They're 4 behind the Yankees, 3 behind the Mariners, and in control of their own destiny, but they got to stick this landing.
They could have created a maelstrom of surprises last night with the win, but they didn't get it.
No.
Game was 3-3 in the 9th inning, and the Rangers came up with a bases-loaded double, and that scored 3 runs, and Texas gets the win 6-3 over Kansas City. Oh, hey, you're not going to win them all. Those things do happen. And the Springfield Cardinals, they're way behind the Arkansas Travelers, like 7-1. They came up with a big rally, got the game close, and then the Travs scored 3 runs in the 8th inning and win the game 10-6. So our Missouri teams didn't fare very well last night. Cardinals, Royals, and Springfield Cardinals all on the losing end. But that was last night. Now Thursday's a different day.
And tomorrow's Friday, my man. I'll see you tomorrow.